Boom, boom, boom. Here we are today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. I really do appreciate everybody watching this. I'm Brandon, your host today for today's episode of the Thrive Nation podcast, where we are serving the community, creating an intersection of wellness and personal growth. And we have an amazing guest today. I'm very excited about this conversation. And just to give a little bit of brief about.
One second. My audio went out. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There you go. I'm sorry. My phone went out.
You good? Just to give a little bit of a brief, he's a dad. He's a husband. He is an empowering musical artist. He's also a landowner and a tiny home builder with the YouTube channel to teach people as well. And forgive me if I say his, this name, but we are introducing Inyarachaa today, and I'm very excited for this conversation. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Inyarachaa. Yeah.
Inyarachaa. Okay. But I wanted to ask you. Well, my first question was that name like native or that name come from something?
Yeah, it's Hebrew. When you look at the word Inyarachaa, so it's two words into one. Inya means humble or broken, you know what I'm saying? And Rakah is spirit, right? So you put it together, you get humble spirit. And like I say, in ancient times, whenever our parents gave us names, it would be based on our characteristics, you know what I'm saying, and our purpose in life.
Right.
So yeah, if anybody who knows me know that I'm very humble, I'm not prideful at all, you know what I'm saying? So like my name, that's who I am, that's what I am. I'm a humble spirit.
And did you kind of like come up with that on your own? Or was that kind of like something that was given through family ties or family or something?
I gave it to myself. It was during my awakening. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to tell you the whole thing, but to keep it short, I was going through a point in my life where I was just searching for myself, searching for God. And basically I started to learn Hebrew. I was basically reading it, writing it, and in the Hebrew, like the alphabets and everything like that, like I said, I was just studying all that. And every word has a meaning, you know what I'm saying? Every word has a meaning behind it or whatever. So yeah, I just put it together like that, just looking at my lifestyle, looking at the person that I was becoming. And yeah, that's how it came about.
That's cool. That's cool, man. I know a couple other friends of mine who have given themselves names, self-governing names, appellations, whatever. It's always very intriguing to see how people kind of, like you said, will either take a couple different names and put them together to fit, their essence, or take something else or another word that fits their essence with another meaning to it. It's always intriguing how people.
Yeah, and just like my children, my children, my oldest, his name is Ari, Jasir, and Inyarachaa Boone. You know what I'm saying? And my youngest, his name is Najee. I know she gonna kill me. I forget his middle name, but it's Ari Boone. But anyway, I'm saying all that to say that, like, all of their names have meanings behind them.
And is with the kids, is that something that you kind of like assign based on seeing their movements as a youth or as a child, or was it kind of like given at birth based on just a feel, or it was given at birth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's funny too because when my wife was pregnant with our first son, we would always play music, right? And he would always be kicking inside of her, like just kicking to the music. And so that's kind of like me and her got together, and once we realized that he was, just vibing with the music, that's how we came up with his names. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting, man. Damn. So were you in music for a long time, or was that like something that happened like around the time that he was born?
Nah, I've been doing music for a long time, brother. I want to say going all the way back to 2006 when
Oh
I was
man.
in junior high school, yeah, somewhere around that time. I was just playing back then, but it didn't start getting serious until I dropped out of school.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
yeah. That's when you gotta like have much more time to put in.
yeah,
Um, start taking
yeah,
it a lot more serious.
yep. Because
Mm.
when I dropped
You said
out, I want go ahead,
6. I was just
go ahead.
asking. You said like 2006.
Yeah.
Okay, but you said when you dropped out, what happened?
No, when I dropped out, I did this song and it wasn't my favorite, but some told me to take it to the radio station on my way to work one day. And I was working at Walmart at the time. This is when I was like 18 or 19, something like that. But
Yeah.
I took it to the radio station, gave it to the dude. I told him, I said, listen, because you got to think about it. At that time, this was the biggest radio station. I'm from Alabama, but I moved to Oklahoma in 2016. But this was in Alabama at the time. But anyway, I told dude, I said, this is a song that I want y'all to play every Sunday, because Sundays were the days that they play all the local artists. You know what I'm saying? So I gave it to him and I went to work. Bro, it's so crazy. When I got to work, not even an hour later, he called me back. He said, Lil Boone, because I went by Lil Boone at the time. He was like, Lil Boone, man, you got something with this, man. We forget playing it on Sundays. We about to play it every hour on the hour. You know what I'm saying? And it just took me by storm. I was like, what? Because I wasn't expecting that song to have that type of impact. So yeah, that's when everything got serious, man. Because that's when Drake came out. Drake was like, you the only one. Dun, 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 dun. He came out with that. So it was around that time, man. They were playing it every day, bro, and it took off.
Man, what was the song called?
It's a song called La La Land, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm to go.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I was trying to sound like Plies back then. So yeah, when you hear it, like, okay, he trying to go for that sound. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Since 2006, man. So it's been almost been 20 years since you since started out. Um, how has that been? That journey been? Because I know it's been probably a lot of ups and downs and fluctuations along the way, but it's been something you've been doing for almost 20 years. Where it's
Mhm.
2024. Um, can you talk a little bit more about just how that journey's been?
Yeah. It's been a beautiful journey, nonetheless. I had one foot into the music industry. Man, okay, I'm trying to see how can I go about this without being long-winded. So when that song came out, uh, that's when I started to get a lot of attention. And my cousin, he was my manager at the time, and then his friend came on board to be a manager. So once we all got together, we would always have these meetings or whatever about how we were going to go about, my music career and all that. And man, I was doing shows in the southeast region of America, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee. And then I hooked up with some people. You remember the artist, what his name is? Dero, clean on the inside, clean on the outside.
Yeah, yeah,
So I ended up linking up with his people, and it was this girl by the name of Successful. She worked for BET, you know what I'm saying, at the time. And me and her would always talk, and she would be like, listen, I'm gonna tell you what you gotta do in order for you to come up here I think it was New York that I had to go to. But anyway, she was like, you know, they have Wild Out Wednesdays and all of that, right? So we was trying to make that happen. And then in that same time, speaking of Plies, it's funny because his brother, Big Gates, I think he had a record label called Big Gates Records. And he wrote me on Twitter and he was like, man, I love your style, yada yada yada. How about we set up you know, a situation for you to come down here to Florida so we can talk business, you know. But man, it's like my manager, not my cousin, but the one he brought on board, he was shady. You feel me? So what he was doing was he was messing up the business side of things for me. You know, he was real greedy. Whenever I would do shows, he would tell us that they're not paid when they were paid shows. And you gotta understand, I was young too, so I didn't know nothing about the business side of it. I was just out there doing my thing. Yeah, so that's how it was back then, you know. I was really doing it, and I want to say my last mixtape that I had put out, we had put together this whole plan to go around to all the colleges to pass out CDs, to promote me. And that's when it all just changed. You feel me? Something came over me and I just felt the need to want to like embark on this journey to find myself and find God. You know, I didn't want to make low vibrational music no more. I'm talking about just out of nowhere. So
when did that happen?
that was in 2012. That was in 2012. And you know, I sat in a dark room one night. It's crazy. I sat in a dark room one night and after, you know, sitting in there meditating and praying, I said, man, you know what? I'm done with it. So I hit all my team up and I said, hey, I don't want to do it no more. And they were like, dude, what you talking about? I was like, I don't want to do all this. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to make this type of music. I don't want to go around, you know, promoting it or anything. I just want to change my life. And boy, they were mad. They stopped talking to me. You know,
Man.
it was a rough time in my life, but hey, it needed to happen, you know.
So, and I want to talk about that a little bit because, you know, I know it probably took a lot of, you know, it take a lot of courage to completely like just 180 or shift your life.
Mm-hmm.
In that time, I guess. Well, the first question I have is, what was some of those triggers for you that was like, damn, this is really not sitting with me no more. Or this isn't it. I have to. I'm yearning for something more. Like, what was some of those triggers for you in those moments to kind of like let you know, like, damn, all right, nah, a change is needed.
Well, I saw how my music was affecting people around me. You know what I'm saying? And cause people, they didn't deny the fact that I was talented. You know what I'm saying? And that I can make good music. It's just that I would always hear the older folks saying like, man, your mouth, your mouth, you know what I'm saying? You're real vulgar. You know what I'm saying? And your lyrics, like you need to change your lyrics or whatever if you want to reach more people. Because I was making music, like I say, you know, in Alabama, it was always trap, it was booty shake, you know what I'm saying? It was sex, it was all that. So
Yeah,
I was just caught up in all of that, you know.
yeah,
And like I say, it was just a conscious, like whatever it was that came over me, it just made me sit down and just look at myself, you know what I'm saying, examine myself and like, yeah, it's time for this to change, you know. So
yeah,
I just wanted to have a positive impact on people. Like whenever they hear my music, I wanted them to feel good and not feel like, dang, but he nasty, why? Like, you know.
yeah. No, I'm glad you listened so we can like one had this conversation here and you come
Mm.
to the point of that day. And I also want to ask you next is in that space, in that time when you're going through this heavy transformation, you said like some of your friends stopped talking to you and, you know, like now you have people who are here with you while you're doing this, and you going through something that you feel like it's about to be for the betterment of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now these people start messing with you, and then I know like on the back end, it's just conflict in terms of values, what they used to be and what you want them to be, and now it's kind of rebuilding that. What was some of the things that you used in that transformation time that kind of helped you um, get to the next side? What kind of helped you get the insight that you needed? Um, yeah, it was like just through that transformation time. What were some of those things that kind of that helped a lot in that space?
Well, let's see. I've always been the type of individual where, like, people would always doubt me, whether it was music, whether it was just, lifestyle, whatever. Because I told you I dropped out of school.
Right,
So I always had people telling me, oh, you ain't gonna be nothing. You ain't got no education, you ain't got no diploma, nothing. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna make it too far or whatever,
right,
right? And so, like I said, I've always been the type of person to hear those things, but I was able to just ignore it and just do me. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Because I don't allow the negativity to stop me. Like, I just keep going, and I actually use it for fuel. Honestly, that's how I've always been, and to this day, I'm like that. So,
mhm,
when me and my team had our falling out, they were saying the same things like, "Oh, he think he too good now. He think he want to do this whole spiritual thing. He on that weird, you know what I'm saying? Just saying little stuff like that." I'm like, "All
right,
right, okay, cool. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna use it as fuel. And I'm gonna show y'all coming out on the other side like what it's gonna look like." So
right,
so it was that, and then like too, anytime we are trying to find ourselves is we tend to like go to the church because that's what we're used to, you
right,
know. So I grew up a Christian. um so I went back to the Christian church thinking that I was gonna be fulfilled or whatever, you know. uh but that didn't work. It didn't give me what I needed, you know what I'm saying? So I just kept searching, and I met brothers who were Jehovah Witness, brothers who was Muslim, you know, and in my family, I had all of it. They was just all over the place. So it always made me, yeah, it always made me question, like, dang, why so many different, things going on or whatever. So, um,
mhm,
yeah, that's really what it was. It was the people around me, all my friends just doubting me and stuff. That's what really made me just go harder with what I was doing, you know.
mhm. And I can resonate with that a lot, especially as you are, like you're going. I grew up in a Christian household too, in a
Mhm,
traditional Christian sense, and it was a point in time where it was a rough transformation, transition, change period, and I went back to that in terms of looking for some sustenance and
mhm.
nutrition at the time, and it just wasn't doing it.
Right.
And it came a point in time where, like you said, just learning from people who are Muslim, people who Jewish, people who Hebrew, people who are, all these different denominations,
Mhm.
and some of their teaching, some things are similar, some things are different. But it
Right.
was just curious to me in that time, like, wait, I just wanted to kind of like hear other people's perspective about this thing we call spirituality. That
Mhm.
sounds one thing that you really leaned in on in that time. And I know that being an empowering artist, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you was how would you define, like, what's your definition or personal description of what spirituality is?
Um, man, I love this topic because at this point in my life, that's where I'm at 100%. Like, I'm heavy into like esoteric knowledge. Um, So when you ask about spirituality, from my perspective, I would say spirituality is really plain and simple the state of being spiritual, or the quality of being spiritual. Um, you have religion who focuses mainly on everything outwardly. You understand what I'm saying? Focuses on the physical, and they don't focus at all on the spiritual or anything internally. So spirituality focuses on that, all things within, everything metaphysical. Uh, Basically, people got to understand that we're multidimensional beings, right?
Right.
So there's a part of us that's divine, and then there's a part of us that's, I guess, physical, or as I would say, animal. We have an animalistic nature and we have a divine nature. So
Yeah.
spirituality helps us or focuses on that divine part of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's missing, I feel like, in today's society, for real, because religion has messed people up so bad, man, to the point where it's funny. But yeah, I would say that's how I would define it, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree with that last thing where, don't get me wrong. I understand, everybody has their own sense of their relationship with creator or infinite intelligence or the divine, right?
Right.
What I don't agree with is all these wars that's being done in the name of religion,
Right.
and
Yep.
in the name of, whatever. But in that conversation, what you just said was so religion is looking at things and from a external place of perspective,
Hmm.
and is looking at things from an internal, then outward, right?
Yeah.
So how would you define religion versus spirituality in that sense?
Well, it's like this, right? The example I can give you is this. So in the Western cultures, you have what's the three major religions? You have Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Right.
Um, and they mainly focus on God being separate from you. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, just focusing mainly on everything external. When
Uh
when you look at Eastern cultures,
yeah.
you look at the Hindus, you look at Buddhism, all that, right? They focus more on the internal aspect, how you and God are one. You understand what I'm saying? So um it's definitely a difference. And even in religion, though, I mean, there, like you said, there's a lot of things in religion that are true, but however,
Right.
it's just they're missing. It's like that bridge, you know what I'm saying, to spirituality. They're missing
Right.
that.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. And it's kind of like, well, one thing in religion that is separated very tenfold, um, is this bridge between science and spirituality,
Hmm.
where scientists, well, to go back in time, the church kind of took itself out of in the conversation of science, right? But
Right.
now what we have is physics and quantum physics, and you go deeper into physics, you get quantum and mechanical physics and all these other fancy names for the things that happen inside of us. But if
Mm.
you go inside of physics, right? Physics, quantum, and mechanical physics, all these things is like hiding spirituality in a very technical sense of scientific jargon and stuff.
Right.
So no, I definitely think I agree with you on that. What when you saying that some of the religions are, I guess, putting the power or the source or God, if we will, outside ourselves, and it's something external, versus some of the Eastern, or if you're going to like say spiritual viewpoints where it's something that is internal,
Hmm.
those varying viewpoints, right? what's the impacts of those in your perspective from having a viewpoint of this infinite intelligence is outside of me? I have to build a relationship with it out external, with him or her external from me, or versus this is something that's in me. And like what's your perspective on the impacts of that mindset, like difference in it, if you will.
Well, we can go deep with this, but it's very controversial. You know what I'm saying? Like what I'm about to say. Okay,
Okay.
so the whole when people get to talking about what I was saying, like the whole savior thing, right? You
Right.
know, us being saved or whatever. They would have you to look on the outside of yourself for a savior, somebody to come save you, right? Religion,
Right.
mainly in Christianity, but um, it's funny because the same deity or the same person that they're talking about, right, as far as saving, said out of his own mouth, you feel me, that you have to go within, like God is within you. All in the Bible, all in the scriptures, it's telling everybody that this spirit, this energy is within you. Even, Jesus, right? He said that everything you see me doing, you'll be able to do it too. You just got to connect and align yourself with that which is within, you know. Um, and like I say, I tell the people all the time, the savior is within you, God, the devil, all these things, man, it's all within us. Now, I'm not saying that there are, things outside of us um that have an influence on us. I'm not saying that that's, not the case, but what I'm saying is that we are in control of our, reality. You know, we control our circumstances and everything like that. But everything starts with a thought. If you have negative thoughts, if you the type of person that always think of bad things and you know what I'm saying, just destructive thoughts, that's your reality is gonna reflect that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if you have good thoughts, peaceful thoughts, harmonious thoughts, then you're gonna be at peace, most likely. So I tell people, and then too, we get on this topic of searching for answers. The church will have us say, okay, yeah, we got to go to church to find God. We got to go here to find God. We got to go to a physical, literal building to find God. But the Bible tells you that we are the buildings. We are the temples. These
Mhm.
bodies that we possess, these are just vessels. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you gotta go. If the Bible is telling you that God is within and that you should glorify, meaning worship, or you know what I'm saying, like you have to go within yourself. That's why I always tell people I don't worship nothing outside of myself. you know
Mm.
so yeah, and then too, like I was saying with the answers, and the questions that we have, you know they would have you to look outside of yourself for the answers or whatever, but all the answers are within us. We
Right.
just got to look within, but people don't know how to do that. People don't. When you say look within yourself, they what? How you do that? But then
Yeah,
that's when
no,
we.
that's a very good point. That was one of the things I was gonna bring up, because somebody listening to this conversation would be like, "Damn, they're speaking facts." You got to like the process for any problem. If you go within, you'll get the answer. You know.
Mhm.
Um, and then somebody else is gonna be listening to this like, "What is he talking about? Go within. How do you do
Right.
this? What does that mean?" So,
Right.
how would you say like is how would you one either describe that, or how would you give some examples of how you've kind of like learned how to put that into practice?
Well, I know a definite way is through meditation. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Meditation, and like you were saying about the science. See,
right.
a lot of people, because I come from a very, I guess you could say, biblical background. I have that background, so um, I'm gonna keep mentioning different things from the Bible. But see, I'm different though. Like I am a student of life. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not religious at all, but I'm very, I do a lot of research or whatever. So um I'm gonna just say this. So going back to what I was telling you earlier, through the transition I was making, I went back to the Christian church. I was researching and just being around all these people that was in religion, right? And then boom, my cousins, they were there. I went over their house one day and they was listening to some brothers out on the street preaching, right? And it was the Hebrew Israelites. So when I seen it, it just clicked. It resonated with me. I'm like, dang, but I love the way they talking. I like what they saying. So I started studying that, right? And it made me like read the Bible, take it a lot more serious, as far as studying it and truly trying to understand it. And I did, I got a good understanding. But like I say, I'm a seeker, and I know that within these Hebrew camps, organizations, they're limited, right? The knowledge that they have is limited. And I always knew it was something more. And like I told you
Right.
earlier, the spiritual aspect of the scriptures is what they were leaving out. They wasn't teaching that. So that's
Right.
when I started to look at it from a different perspective. And I'm like, okay, what we're reading, there's layers to it. You know what I'm saying? There is multiple meanings and everything. Like you got to look at the etymology of the words, all that. So I got to a point in my life where I started looking at it from an anatomical standpoint, physiological standpoint, um,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say astrological, astronaut, you know what I'm saying? I started
Yeah.
looking at it from all those standpoints, and man, it's fascinating. Like all the stories that we read is taking place within our bodies. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so anywho, how I got to that, it was all through meditation. So, you'll hear a lot of people saying that, oh, okay, they'll say there's two forms of meditation. You got biblical meditation where it says meditate on the word, right? Then you got Eastern meditation where they say you got to empty your mind and all this and that, right? So I'm like, okay, I hear y'all, I hear you, but I'm gonna do a little bit more research and I'm gonna figure this out. So I did a presentation on my YouTube channel, and it's titled "The Only Way Out Is to Go Within," and I was showing them that with meditation, there's a science behind it. Many people don't know what meditation does to our body, and especially
Right.
to our brain and our nervous system. You understand what I'm saying? So, like you said earlier, it's like, when you get to talking about quantum physics and all these different things, they leave out the spiritual connection or like the science behind it. You know what I'm saying? The spiritual part of it. Um, But like with meditation, I found that it balances out your nervous system. You know what I'm saying? When you do breath work, you got the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, right? And those two things are linked to the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. The amygdala is where stress is, fight or flight, all of that. And the prefrontal cortex is where, it's where our thinking, like all of that, basically the part like memory and all of that, that's where all that is. So when the more you meditate, um that part of our brain where the memory is, it
Mm-hmm.
enlarges. It changes in physical structure, and the amygdala, it shrinks. You know what I'm saying? So it's so much, man. It's so much, brother. Like,
And
this is what I
yeah,
be
that's
trying to. Go ahead.
no, I was just I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't
Yeah,
know that it shrinks.
yeah. So basically, where you're the type of person, you have a lot of fear, you have a lot of doubt. You know what I'm saying? You're the type of person that's resonating, or I don't even want to say resonating, but I'm just saying a person that's always in the root chakra. Because you, even with our chakras, they're dimensions, right? And you got consciousness. Consciousness is just that. It's consciousness. It's not no more than one consciousness, but you have this one consciousness, right? But you have different dimensions. Every dimension that you put the consciousness in, you're going to give it a different experience. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, with the root chakra and going all the way up, it's going to have a different experience within that chakra or within that, dimension or whatever. So meditation, man, to me, getting back on that is everything to me. And I feel like that's one of the major ways for you to be able to go within and connect, with that part of yourself that's divine.
Yeah, no, you boy.
No, for real.
But no, you said a lot of gems just then. I want to ask you now, like, in terms of meditation, are you one of the so on the Western side of the world, we have people who say you're supposed to just clear your mind, no thoughts, and then other people on the opposite side of that spectrum, as it relates to meditation, would say like just be mindful of the thoughts, just be the observer of the thoughts, right? Then like the in betweens that let's focus our thoughts on a given affirmation or let's focus on a visualization of whatever it is. Um, do you have your one that you kind of this is the one I'm going to do this every single time, or do you kind of like switch it up in between that entire spectrum of what we just talked about?
The entire thing. I do it all. You know what I'm saying? Because you there's truth to all of it, and it's like the whole clearing the mind. A lot of people when they hear that, it has a negative, you know what I'm saying, like connotation or whatever. But clearing your mind, when they say clearing your mind, it's really just focusing on like all the stress, all the things you deal with in your day-to-day life. You know what I'm saying? That kind of puts you in this low vibrational state. You know what I'm saying? So like your bills, the drama that's going on in your life, you know, uh, if you're going to clear anything out, clear that out, you know,
Yeah.
you feel me? But at the same time, like you said, you can observe those things, acknowledge that you're dealing with that. But then because a person who's starting off meditating, they have a lot of thoughts, thoughts just
Just
bombarding
run.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to just keep doing it. You have to keep doing it. And I tell people all the time, it takes time to really get to a place where you can find balance, because even with our brains, we have the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. And the whole goal is to balance or synchronize the two. You know what I'm saying? So like I say, you gotta sit with yourself and acknowledge all those thoughts and just let them pass. And you have to have a point of focus. And most times, like I always tell people, it's breathing. Focus on your breathing. And like
Yeah.
you
No, that's
said, affirmations. Focus on speak things to yourself. I am powerful. I am love. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. No, that's a when I first started off, because you mentioned that somebody in the early stages of meditation it's like it's so hard to clear the mind, whether you got a business or whether it's work or whether it's the family or the kids or bills. It's always something that can be done.
Right.
So in the beginning time, it's definitely a lot of thought. So one of the things that helped in that beginning time for me too is just focus on the breath. Because if you focus on the breath, if you just focus on the inhale, exhale, the feeling of your body, of your brain, of your head, of your blood, of your organs as you're inhaling, as you're exhaling, like the difference in it and the appreciation of it in both of those. That's losing yourself to the breath puts you in a space. It's hard. It's hard to think if you lose yourself to the breath.
Yeah. No, it's facts. It's facts. That's facts, brother. So that's why I encourage everybody to meditate, but see, here's the thing. Because I wanted to say this while we was on the topic. You have a lot of people, especially Christians, right? Or anybody, it could be anybody. They are afraid of meditation because of the experiences that many who have, got into the new age movement, and they were, oh, I experienced, demons, I saw demons, I whatever, right? So a lot of people are afraid to fully engage in that practice. And in my presentation, I was showing them the reason behind that, the reason why people experience, seeing demons and, having all these horrors or whatever. And the reason is, you have to think about this. From the time we're born until we get up until, like, I want to say 10 or 11, right? Our subconscious mind is very fertile, is open 100% of the time. So whatever you're planning in that child's mind, whatever that child is experiencing, is going into that subconscious mind. And that's basically shaping and programming their personality in them. You know what I'm saying? So let's say you have somebody, I'm gonna just say a female, because it's mainly females who go through this. Let's say you have a female, young female, who gets sexually abused. You know what I'm saying? Raped, whatever, molested. That's trauma. That's a lot of trauma, right? So boom, going through that experience, the person that's abusing them could have a certain smell. You know what I'm saying? Could have touched them in a certain way. Because you got to understand, it's not just our minds that get programmed, our bodies get programmed as well.
Yeah.
So peep game. As you get older, right? Because most people, what they do is they don't deal with the trauma. They just bury it within themselves. Okay, let's say a person starts meditating. See, what meditation does, it exposes you to these things. It shows you your demons. It shows you, all the trauma and stuff. But it's our job to face our demons and to work through those traumas, you know what I'm saying, in order for us to truly elevate, So the people that's having all of these bad experiences or whatever are those who saw their own demons, but wasn't able to face them and overcome. You dig what I'm saying?
That's a very, very good point in terms of, oh my gosh, because a lot of people in the heavy, very restricted Christianity space, I think personally, are confining a limit to growth potential, right? Confining a limit to growth potential by deliberately knocking things out of their perspective or not being open to certain things because of the stigma that is carried with this, based on what they've heard or based on what somebody else told them. And meditation is one, because it's like you go into what you mean you ask go into the world, or what you mean you're not asking from something outside of yourself, you're going inside yourself. Can't fathom this. Yoga is another one. Reiki, and just other alternative practices that have to do
third eye, chakras, all of that.
Chakras. It's by not opening ourselves up to that, it's kind of like I said, it's a cap on the growth potential. Which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
that's what I teach, though. That's what I teach on my YouTube channel, and it's just that, because I got presentations that's titled "Everything is Evil to Those Who Lack Understanding." You know what I'm saying? And I did one on chakras. I did one on astrology. I did one on I did like a Jesus and the SUN connection, the sun, showing like his whole journey is, you know what I'm saying, the same journey in the sun takes.
Man,
brother,
that That's a video right there for you if you going in the depth in that, because that is definitely one of the things. Like, if we're gonna talk about religion, then and this is something that I got from the book Spirituality Before Religion.
Mhm.
I think by I think Phil Valentine,
Mm.
and one of the things he detailed in history was how religions came into being
Mm.
in ancient times. Ultimately, it led to the division of the information of the knowledge, the divine knowledge, right? But essentially, first, the people began to observe nature and realize these stars are having an impact on our vegetation. The stars and their shifts, their changes are having an impact on our vegetation, our fruit, our leaves, our trees, our water, the current. Their shifts are impacting what we eat and how we eat, what we're planting,
Mhm.
um, what we where we need to look for, what animals are around more. So it's natural. Okay, now it's a need, or it's valuable for me to pay attention to these stars to see how it's. And now today we have farmers almanacs
Yeah.
still built of astrology, but
Yep.
essentially that turned into astrology turned into understanding the stars based on what was happening here. And then eventually over time that astrology turned into rituals based on their knowledge of these stars. And those rituals changed based on geographic location. And then these rituals of the knowledge turned into religions today. You
Mhm.
know, um,
I want to I
yeah,
want to I want to I want to add to that, right? I want to
yeah.
add to that. See, we building, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you got we talked about religion and we talked about spirituality, right? So you have exoteric knowledge and you have esoteric knowledge.
Okay.
Exo exoteric, exo, when you look at the root word, it means without. Okay.
Mm.
And exoteric is basically knowledge and information for the masses, for the general public,
Oh wow.
right? Then you have esoteric. When you look at the root word of eso, it means within. So peep this. We talking about astrology, right? And what you just said, how they started to form rituals around the stars and the moon and the sun and all that, right? So when you look at the etymology of the word astrology, logy just means the study of.
Mhm.
Astro is the stars. So the study of the stars. But see the
Right.
difference between astrology and astronomy is just like exoteric. Astronomy is
Mhm.
just dealing with the basic understanding of the sun, moon, and the stars, right? It's not going into like what's beyond that, like the how they
Right.
affect,
Right.
us, how they affect the plants, how they affect, you know what I'm saying, nature.
Yeah.
That's when you get into astrology, because astrology is the information that's mainly for those who have a deeper understanding, you know what I'm saying, of how this stuff functions and operates, and how it affects us. So it's always been an argument between the two. But when you look at the words, the etymology, essentially they're the same. It's just that, like I say, one is more so for the general public, but the other is more so for those like us,
Yeah.
seekers and who have a
Like,
deeper understanding.
like really students of life. Students of life.
Hmm.
And so the reason why a big reason why the Thrive Nation podcast was created was for these types of conversations, because so in the space of personal growth, is some people who are really good at going to go get money. They're really
Yeah.
good at identifying where they can improve and being a perfectionist,
Hmm.
and not great with the wellness side of things and understanding, how these things impact them, or how these things impact their mind. And on vice versa side is people who are great on the vibes and can talk to you about all the conspiracies, but don't understand the financial side of monetizing their skill sets or building wealth or, you know, some of those things that's really associated with the personal development, personal growth side of things.
Right.
Um, so in that conversation, I want to kind of ask you whether this this is going to lead into one of the next things, but as it relates to music, as it relates to your spiritual journey, as it relates to just growing and becoming more of yourself, what strategies have you found very, very helpful with your personal growth, growing in your into your spirituality, or and letting go into that? You know, what are some things that been helpful with accumulating the speed or making sure the flame is still going? You know, um, yeah, what's some of the things that you this is invaluable.
Yeah. Man, just life in general. The interactions I have with people. Like I say, my whole entire, like, everything I put on social media, YouTube, Instagram, if you go back to the albums that I made, I named them Journey, right? I got Journey 1 through 6. And on all
Mm,
of those albums, you see the evolution of me, right?
mm,
You see the different stages that I've gone through in my life. And like I say, there was a time where I was heavy into the Hebrew Israelite, community, making music for them, and basically everything I was learning at that time, I was just putting it all in the music. But then it shifted, right? I wanted to know more. I knew it was more. So that's when I started to get more into, like, basically, man and God is one. I started studying just a lot of other things, but I still had the Bible as that foundation. I never went away from it. You know what I'm saying? So I tell people all the time, the Bible, I love the Bible, but at the same time, I'm not finna sit up here and act like it's perfect. You know what I'm saying? There are things in there um, that that ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they'll get mad at you when you say that, because they put all of their faith and belief in the book, and to the point where it becomes an idol. But anyway, what I love about the book is all the wisdom records that's in it, because all the, like, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and then even on the extra biblical texts, like the Apocrypha, where you have Wisdom of Solomon, the Book of Sirach. All these different books are my favorite, because it's like a father talking to his son, saying things
mm,
like, "Son, when you're in this situation, when you're around this type of female, this is how you maneuver." You know what I'm saying? So you won't get caught up in this trap. This is how you carry yourself, you know. So it just teaches you how to deal with different kind of people, you know what I'm saying? Teaches you to just be humble, and shows you, like, when you become prideful, what could happen to you. Pride can destroy you, so
yeah.
on and so forth. Like, all of these things, I'm the type of person, I don't just read some just to say that, oh, I got knowledge on the scriptures, or whatever. I read it to apply it, and you know what I'm saying, to my life, and so that it can help me improve in every aspect. So when you ask me, about my spiritual development, or just my overall development, it really, man, it was the Bible. But then there are other books too, which I'll go into later, but you know what I'm saying? It was the Bible, then also too, just like I say, my interactions with people. Whenever I spoke to people and I saw how my words affected them, the ways that it affected them. And I'm grateful to have people in my life to hold me accountable, you
Absolutely.
know, because they'll tell me, like, listen, no, you don't talk like that to your wife. You don't say things like this and like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it always made me do a lot of self-reflection, and I'm the type of person, it's like I write stuff down that I want to work on, and just one by one I just work on it, you know what I'm saying, till I get to a point to where I I improve on it, and just yeah. So like I say, that's just overall how it was with the music, my lifestyle, just everything, you know.
I understand that, man. Yeah, no, it's always well, the growth journey, working on yourself, always be a journey. It's not like we finish one day and we're like, oh, I'm finished growing now.
Right, right.
Same thing with the healing journey. Like it's a lifelong, it's a practice. It's a lifelong practice. I like what you just
Mm-hmm.
said. Um, Now I did want to kind of get into what was. So I know that you end up getting and acquiring your own land and building on that. What kind of led you to one, get your own land first and then build your own space on your own land?
Well, I really don't like titles or labels or anything like that. Anybody who know me know I don't like all that, because I always say, man, I'm just a vessel. I'm just having this experience just like everybody else. But
Right.
people have always told me that, I'm a prophet, because I've have had dreams and visions of different things taking place within this realm or whatever. Um so I did a lot of prophesying back in the day. And so I always knew that going off the grid or just getting away from a large population of people was something that I wanted to do. It's just that, spirit had to orchestrate it, you know, uh, and I had to go through things or whatever, to get to that point. But um, I want to say before COVID, 2018 through 2019, um, I was doing my thing on YouTube, and this brother reached out to me. Well, he's a Caucasian. He reached out to me, right? Because I think in the video I had on the Oklahoma City hat. And so he wrote me, he was like, "Hey bro, do you live in Oklahoma City?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That's what's up. That was love." He was like, "Man, I love what you're doing. I love what you stand for. You know what I'm saying? I believe that you are the chosen, you know what I'm saying? Like not me per se, but just like everybody that look like me. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all are the chosen or whatever, right?" So it's so interesting how it all worked out, man. So this same Caucasian, this who is my brother, he he found the land. He had the
Wow.
land. Yeah, he had the land already. But peep this. He invited me out. He said, "Hey, let's meet up at the land." And I was like, "Cool." This was, I want to say, 2019. He said, "Let's meet up at the land." So me and my wife and my oldest at the time, we drove out there, and we met him, and just so happened, her and him, because she didn't know who it was, just so happened that them two knew each other. They went to school together, grew up together, and everything, right?
That's
That's
crazy.
that's one thing. My real name, I'm gonna just say my earthly name is Thomas.
Okay.
He grew up on a street called Thomas Drive, right? So it's just funny how all of this just came together. So anyway, he had the land, and we became friends, right? I went out there, because even on my Instagram channel, the video of where you hear B.O.B. in the background, I think it's he's doing poetry or something like that. That
Mm,
video, that was my first time stepping foot on the land and meeting him.
mm,
So make a
mm.
long story short, me and him became friends. And at one point, he was like, "Listen, I want you to become an owner of the land." You know what I'm saying? Because like I say, you know, we boys, we cool. You know, I believe in you, whatever. So what we did was we went through all the paperwork. I you know, I got my name on the deed. You know, and we ended up paying the land off and everything like that. And so I'm part owner of the land. He owns, you know, half of it as well. So and he's the same one that's in the video with me building the tiny home. Like me and him, yeah, me and him, we worked together to build my tiny home, and his tiny home is out there as well, but he's not living out there yet. But but yeah, man, that's my brother though. You know what I'm saying? Like if God didn't put it on his spirit to reach out to me and for us to, you know, become friends or whatever, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. You know what I'm saying? Or doing all the stuff that I'm doing. But I gotta shout out that brother, you feel me? Because a lot of people in the process of us building, a lot of people that look like me and you know what I'm saying, reached out to me. What you doing building with that white boy? What you doing? You know what I'm saying? You know, it was a whole lot of that. And I'm just like, bro, this man then been by my side since day one and showed loyalty, you feel me? Just in times where I got caught up in some crazy situations, he bailed me out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it took me by surprise. I'm like, dang, like here's a Caucasian with a he's genuine, you know what I'm saying? Like with a good heart. And it's funny that the same people who were throwing shots at him, you know what I'm saying, coming to me talking crazy about him, they were nowhere to be found when I needed help. And I always thought that was sad. You know what I'm saying? They got so much to say, but they not here with me building. They not hear me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how the land came about. And it was because we didn't start building until 2020. And it was COVID that actually like sparked it. You know what I'm saying? Made us move in haste. We was like, okay, I already knew this was coming. You feel me? Because like I said, I had been prophesying. I had told people before COVID came, I was like, listen, y'all, the media finna go crazy. They finna say this state got this many cases, that state. Just watch how it all play out. And when it happened, I'm a truck driver, so I was over the road. And I told my wife, I said, okay, we need to get serious. You know what I'm saying? We need to go ahead and start, you know, building a house and stuff like that. So, you know, that's when the government was giving out stimulus checks, you know. So what we was doing was we was taking the stimulus money and we were investing, you know what I'm saying? We were buying materials. What else? And then too, you know, all the money I was making from driving trucks, which I was making decent money. So I was taking that money, just investing. And then too, when COVID was going on, what they did was they created a COVID relief plan for homeowners. Basically, yeah, because they knew people were struggling or whatever. So me and my wife, we owned a home at the time. And what they did was they was like, if you're having a hard time paying your mortgage, you can opt into this plan where you don't have to pay your mortgage for 18 months. You know what I'm saying? So I looked at my wife, I said, what? Man, I'm finna take all this money and just invest in the land. You feel me? All the material we need, just all of that. So that's what we did, man. And income taxes. So when that video that went viral on my page, the one that you may have seen, and when I was posting like the numbers of how much everything costs, a lot of people was like, oh man, that's too much, or I don't think I could ever, you know, acquire that or whatever. And I tell people all the time, listen, I didn't do all this in one day. Y'all got to understand that this was over a course of 2 years, 2.5 years.
Or you just buying all that equipment and the house and stuff?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to build the tiny home?
I want to say a year and a half.
A year and a half? Did it take you the same? Did y'all build the two of them at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
Yep. I mean, and the reason it took that long too was because we had challenges come about. You know what I'm saying? Car trouble here, car trouble there. And the weather too around that time, it was raining a lot. And this is when we were doing the foundations because, you know, with my house, I got concrete piers. So it was the weather that was preventing us to really, like, you know what I'm saying, do it in a timely manner. But we got it done though, you know.
Okay, yeah, that's dope. That's dope. That's dope. Oh, man. So what made you the decision to what made your decision to end up, hey, I'm gonna build my own versus, like, I guess, hiring outsourcing it
I wanted
for
to do
somebody
it.
else?
I
You wanted to
wanted
do
to,
it.
yeah, I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how to build. I was always interested in carpentry and you know, like um what they call them, the ones who deal with concrete, masonry,
Mason.
mason. Yeah, yeah. I was always interested and fascinated by it, but I had never done it. But I felt like this opportunity, like, you know, it was a good opportunity for me to get my, you know, get some hands-on experience. And I made a lot of mistakes, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like the type of mistakes where it was too bad, where we had to start all over, whatever. It was little things that we can fix here and there. But yeah, I wanted to do it myself because I knew that by me going through a contractor, it was gonna be more expensive, um, and all that. But yeah, I just wanted to do it myself. I'm glad I did it myself too, for real.
Oh, man. Yeah, that definitely probably would have been a lot more expensive if you go to a contract and you outsourcing all the little things. So how
Hmm.
much, like, I guess, grand total for the land, build your own, the septic system, and whatever else you might have needed in that 2 year time frame?
Um, I want to say 50, roughly 55. I mean, if you want to round it up, because I didn't include all the stuff on the inside of the house.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like I spent thousands for my because I got a solar refrigerator. Well, it's a hybrid. It's I have the option to hook it directly up to solar, and I can hook it up to like the power grid if I wanted to. That's with the refrigerator. The same company uh that made the refrigerator made the stove that I got. I got a propane stove. Um and I spent 1,000 on my stove. I spent 2,000 on the refrigerator. Um I got a wood burning stove and that was 1,300.
Mm,
And then the dang on floors, man, like the vinyl hardwood flat. Yeah, I didn't include, you know, the prices of everything on the
that was
inside, but yeah,
another 10
yeah,
plus.
huh?
That was probably around, what, another 10 plus
Yeah,
for all
so
the.
yes, I would say probably 60, 62, something somewhere around that.
Mm, that's that's cool that you. I've never even heard of a fridge that they got solar panels on it. That's cool. You
Yeah,
got
because
solar panels in the spot, right?
you say I got solar panels where?
You at your spot, at your
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
Yeah.
We got 10 right now. I'm looking to get more because like I said, I added on to it. I'm building my boys' bedroom. So with their bedroom, I'm gonna put like one of those mini split ACs in there, the same one I got that's in our living room. So I'm gonna have to end up getting more solar panels for that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
But
okay.
like I said, I'm gonna do all that over time. Yeah.
Mm,
But I was
man, no, that's
I
cool.
yeah, I was strategic with everything that I did, bro. Like I was very strategic in how I planned it out. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I'm thinking ahead. I'm
Right.
thinking. Like you always hear stories of, especially people down in Florida, well, pretty much everywhere now. I mean, with all these storms that we've been having, you know, people having power outages and things of that nature. Um, and then too, like 2 years ago, I remember in different states, the power companies were saying things like, you know, we can control your power. Like if we feel like you using too much, we can turn it off or whatever. So whenever I got to reading all of that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to be in
Wow.
full control of everything that we got going on.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't know that. Well, but I'm not surprised by it at all. But I didn't know they was out here just saying it.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's not, you know, they don't go nationwide with it. They don't broadcast it like that. But yeah, when you look at different articles, different states, you know, they have, yeah, different pages you can look up and what they be talking like that.
Mm, mm. Is there anything that you would like if you was to go back in time and redo that journey again, of like buying the land, getting the stuff, and then ultimately building your own home? Is there anything that you would look back on and say to either yourself or somebody else, like, hey, it would have been a lot more efficient or maybe a little less stressful if I did this way, or I might have looked this up before.
Yeah, I think I did a pretty good job with, you know, learning about everything. You know, I had to educate myself on different tools. I had to educate myself on you know, terminology. Like I didn't know anything about measuring. I didn't know anything about none of that. But as I went, you know, I learned as I went. So if I had to tell anybody, even my younger self, you know, if I had to do it all again, I would just say slow down a little bit, you know, just slow down, take your time, pay attention to what you're doing, you know, don't be in a rush. Um, and then two, you know, educate yourself as much as you can, you know, make use of the time that you have, because time is our most valuable resource, you know what I'm saying? So we have to utilize our time wisely. And I would just say that, you know, just take your time with everything.
Mm. Yeah, no, that was. Um, I'm glad you mentioned that in terms of like what you would say to either your younger self or to somebody going into the process, just taking your time. Because sometimes you can definitely like be hard on yourself and just try to rush towards where you feel like you should be, and that kind of leads you to not appreciating where you are.
Yeah.
So it's yeah,
And
no,
then
I definitely.
I'm sorry, it also too, like I was always the type of person who moved off the impulse, and I
Mm,
never thought things through. You know what I'm saying? So whenever an idea just popped up, I'm like, okay, let's go. I didn't think about how that thought or that idea would affect myself and those around me. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I had to learn and improve on, you know. So the older I got though, you know, the better I got with it. Um, so yeah, like I said, that's why I would tell my younger self to just slow down, think things through, you know, kind of see the bigger picture, you know.
mhm.
But I don't regret nothing in my past though, you know what I'm saying? Like everything happened for a reason. And yeah, man, it's just so many sides to me, you know what I'm saying? It's just crazy.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a great perspective to have. Where it's like I don't regret anything. Things all happened for a reason. It was all to get me where I am now. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? No, I appreciate you. One of the last questions I had for you was whether this, and you can answer this however you want. Do you have any, high quality book recommendations that made a big impact on you, whether that relates to the personal growth or motivation, spirituality, or even business? Yeah.
Man, we'll be here all day if I gave you a list of books. I'm a book reader. One of the books that changed my life, like I say, the Bible, it changed me. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, it 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 didn't fulfill me. Like I
Mm,
say, I needed more. So, and that's just me. You know, everybody's different. You know, the Bible works for some people. You know, That's all they feel like they need. But for me, I'm very deep. And so there's this book called As a Man Thinketh. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very small book.
It's very thin, but it's an awesome book.
Yes. When I read that book, it just completely it was like, okay, my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? My mind is a garden. And regardless
Mm-hmm.
of what I plant in it, whether it's something's gonna grow. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, that book right there. I was on the road at the time. I was driving all over the United States, and when I had that book, and every night I shut down, I would always read it along with books. Like I said earlier, I'm heavy into esoteric knowledge, so I have a lot of Manly P. Hall books. Um, I have one book called what is it? Okay, it's called The Occult Anatomy of Man. So all these books, and like we said, like I think you touched on this earlier. You said that when it comes to certain things, strict Christians, when they hear certain words, they get turned off.
Yeah, immediately.
Right. So even going into that word occult, which just means hidden, it's nothing bad. It just means hidden. But occult is synonymous with mystery. When you look at the word mystery, it means the same thing, a secret, hidden thing, you know. But anyway, what I'm getting at is all these, occult books. I have a lot of them, and they're not what you think. They don't talk about doing spells or like just what people think is bad. You know what I'm saying? They don't talk about none of that. It's just straight up knowledge on like how to build yourself up. You know what I'm saying? And it shows you how everything in religion, when we talk about demons, we talk about, angels, we talk about all these different things. These things are personifications of different aspects of ourselves. You ever seen the cartoon when we were younger? You had the devil on the right, angel on the left.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But you were the one in the middle, and you had to either make the choice, you make the decision.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So these books, they give you a detailed like account of all this stuff, and all this stuff is what helped me, man. So like I said, we'll be here all day if I gave you a list of books. Shoot.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And you said the first one was As a Man Thinketh, and then the second one was a cult, what?
Anatomy of Man.
A cult anatomy, man. Okay,
Yeah.
now
And
I'm
then,
gonna get out.
and then another one you should get too. I don't know if you ever looked into like sexual transmutation.
Mm-hmm.
But basically semen retention and all of that. Another book that's really, really good is dang, I forgot. It's called the serpent. It's called The Coiled Serpent.
The coil serpent. Okay,
Yes.
I think
Bro,
I've
you
heard of
got
that
you
before.
gotta read that. It's real good.
Okay. Mm. I appreciate those for those books. I'm definitely gonna have to grab a couple of them.
Yeah.
I have to grab a couple of them. But yeah, I appreciate you for your time, man. Again, this has been a beautiful, beautiful conversation. I hope everybody who's watching this is getting a lot of value from this, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today. Um, we touched on all things from spirituality to music and art to understanding yourself more and some of the differences between what we might say religion and spirituality, all
Mm-hmm.
to like land ownership, and everybody who's watching this, please like, subscribe, and share this episode with anyone you think will find value in this information. And remember, this is the Thrive Nation podcast, where we are the bridge between the personal development and wellness space in order to assist you in that transformation journey. Thank you again for your time, and I hope everybody has a beautiful day.
Yes, sir.